This video is for you if you have a friend in Canada, you are Canadian, or you're about to be Canadian. Hi, I'm Annie. Welcome to my channel, Annie Unleashed. If you're a new member, welcome to the community. And if you're a returning member, thank you so much for your support, your shares, likes, and subscribes, but especially your comments that are helping the rest of this community with your ideas and your insights. I appreciate the support, and I'm here to support you right back. Today, I really want to talk about RRSPs in Canada. It's a type of retirement account if you're watching this video from anywhere around the world. And I've got some things that I've really got to get off of my chest here. So I'm going to talk about RRSP season, and I'm going to talk about when do RSPs make sense and when they don't. So stick around. What do you need to know about RRSP season? So RRSP stands for Registered Retirement Savings Plan. Now here's what really bugs me though. They call it RRSP season, but it's not actually a season. This is something that can be done year round. If you have and are working with a solid, experienced financial planner or financial advisor, they are helping you through this, and they've created an entire plan for you to follow based on your life situation, which means that this is something that you can put aside. You can put money aside every month throughout the year. So why does everybody wait till January and February to contribute to their RRSPs? Well, there is some reasoning for this, but it still bugs me that they call it a season. So the reason for this is because, the primary reason for this is because January and February is when people actually get their annual bonuses from their companies. The reason that companies typically, I would say, wait to do this is because they are waiting, they're trying to build loyalty, employee loyalty by waiting till the end of the year. And I'm sure there's some accounting practices at play here as well. But essentially, the short of it is that people are getting these huge lump sums of money in January and February, and maybe they weren't able to contribute to their retirement accounts throughout the year. All good, fully understand. So two things. One, this is probably the busiest time of year for financial advisors and planners because everybody is suddenly having these big chunks of money that they have to put away for tax refunds. Before I jump into that, let's take a step back. Because of bonuses happening in January and February, this is typically why there's this mad rush. There's all these commercials, radio ads, all of the thing, newspapers, articles, you name it, are all talking about contributing to your RSP, why it's important, and it is. But I find that they don't often talk enough about what else it's for. So when does it make sense? Yes, in the short term, it's to lower your tax bracket, possibly get some money back because you paid too much taxes, so you'll get a refund. But also, if you've planned it right, and if you have the right information and person to guide you through this, it's so that you can put money aside over the next, 3 to 5 years or maybe longer to put towards a home purchase. Because yes, you can use your RSPs towards a home purchase. But also it can be used to put money aside for lifelong learning plan. And yes, you can also use RSPs for your adult education. Most people don't know that. It's not very commonly used, but it's still there. It's an option. So our RSPs are not just for retirement. They can be used in so many other ways. In the short term, this is typically what it's used for. And this is going to be a short video, so I'm actually not going to go into all the details of how a home buyer's plan works and a lifelong learning plan, and I might do that in other videos. I'm going to tell you that as a part-time professor, I teach this in a local college, and just talking about and teaching RRSPs can take me like a few hours, easily 3 classes, and each class is 3 hours long. So don't be alarmed if you feel like you don't know enough. There's a lot to know about RRSPs and retirement savings. In the long term, it's good for planning for retirement income in a tax efficient way. What that essentially means is that in order to make sure that you're not in the highest tax bracket when you finally retire and need the money, we have to start planning like way in advance, at least 10 to 15 years before you retire, but you can start it even earlier. The other reason long term would be because you're trying to balance between yours and your spouse's income at retirement. Yes, those have to be considered. And when somebody does a financial plan for you, they're going to look at both of your incomes, both of your situations, both of the balances you have in your investment and retirement accounts, and then plan accordingly. You really don't want to pay too much in taxes. Not before and definitely not after. And some people have caught themselves in retirement paying higher taxes, being in a higher marginal tax rate than before retirement when they were actually working. And that's just because they didn't have the right guidance. So in the long term, balancing between yours and your spouse's income, we call that income splitting. That takes also a lot of planning. So it's the same concept that I was just talking about in terms of, planning for the tax rate that you'll be in once you retire and once you have to take the money out of your retirement savings. But this time you're considering it with your spouse, your common law partner, whatever the case may be, because that also can get affected. And in order to know how to make that work in the most tax efficient way for both of you, you want to start planning and balancing off retirement savings between the two of you. But the other reason long term is because you want to build up an asset that is deferring taxes over time. What that means is that when you put money into an RSP and you contribute that money, not only can it affect you in a positive way in terms of reducing taxes and possibly getting a refund, but also throughout the year as that money is getting invested, you're not paying tax on any earnings on those investments. So that tax is getting deferred. And because you're not paying tax on whether it's interest income, dividend income, capital gains income, any of those things, that means that the money is staying in the account and it's growing faster because of that. So it's a really great way, short-term, medium, and long-term, to take advantage of contributions to RSPs. Now, one thing I do want to address, I often hear the statements, oh, you can't take money out of RSPs. Now, I'm not surprised that some people would say that, because when you watch the commercials on TV, they give you the impression, they imply that RRSPs and retirement savings are meant to put money away, but then they're locked away until you retire and you can't access them. Well, that's simply not true. You can, and there are ways, but there are considerations. But it's easy as making a phone call and waiting a couple of days and boom, the money's in your account. Now, should you do that without any kind of discussion? Absolutely not. If there's a better way to get money to you because you really need it and there's an emergency that you're in and you can't figure out where to get the money, it's really important to have that conversation with your financial planner and advisor, because they will have a better idea of how to make it work for you, get you the money, but in a smart way. So go and get that advice. Now, when doesn't it make a difference? Well, if you're not earning any income, then you don't need to worry about contributing to an RRSP, because it is income based. There's a percentage based on your income up to a maximum limit. And so if you're not earning any income, don't worry about it. The other time that you don't need to worry about it, why it makes no difference to you, is if you're already over 71, you can no longer contribute to an RSP. The reason for that is because RSPs need to shift into a different type of status, a different type of account, and we call that a RIF, which is a Registered Retirement Income Fund. So by the end of the year, you turn 71, your RRSP needs to get moved over into a RIF. And at that point, you can't contribute any longer. You are now in the withdrawal stage. So if you're 72 or over, you don't need to worry about RSP contribution. The third way it may not make a difference for you is if you've contributed to your group RSP plan, and by group I mean an RSP plan that is offered by your company where you put some off your paycheck and they match and contribute from the company as well, which is great. Always take that because it's free money. So when that is done, it's typically done before your taxes are deducted. So, and if that's the case and the money's been taken off your paycheck before any taxes have been deducted, then you're not really going to get any tax benefit afterwards. The reason that people get a tax refund is because they paid too much in taxes in the first place up front, or if you contributed to your RSP with after-tax money. So the company paid you, they took off deductions and taxes, now you get your paycheck, that money goes to your bank account, and with that money you make an RSP contribution. That's after-tax money going to your RSPs, then yes, you will most likely get a refund. In that case, it makes sense. But if you're contributing before tax to your company plan, you're not likely to get a refund. Now, is it lowering your income and therefore you're possibly the taxes that you're paying? Yes, so it's still a great plan to take advantage of with a company that you work for, but otherwise, I wouldn't worry about it. And by the way, side tip, even if you do have a company plan that offers you a group RSP, two things. One, it's not likely that you're maxing out your contribution limit, and two, they're not responsible for monitoring if you're staying within your contribution limit. So you still need to keep on top of it, and you still need advice with somebody who's specific to you and your situation. Fourth reason why it may not make sense for you, why contributing to an RSP won't make a difference for you. If you have low income, if your income is lower than $60,000 approximately, it may not make sense for you to contribute to an RSP because you're already in a lower tax bracket. Now, you still can, and I certainly recommend even putting $1,000 to $2,000 a year away, because remember, you're not paying on taxes on the earnings of the investments in your RSP account, so you're deferring the taxes and it's growing much faster, and because of that it's compounding and earning money on money, and over time that makes a really big difference. In fact, one of the first pieces of advice my dad, who used to be an advisor, gave me when I had my first summer job at like 17, 18 was, make sure your first paycheck goes into your RSP account. I mean, I was like 18 years old. I'm like, oh, this, I didn't really care about all this stuff. But when he showed me a chart that showed how even if I put $2,000 a year now at 18 years old, and every year, and if I use my first paycheck to always, put that money towards my savings, it would actually grow a lot faster and a lot bigger over time than if I waited 10 years and then tried to put big amounts in afterwards. So yes, you're never too young to start as long as you're earning income and it makes sense for your situation, right? The last reason why it may not make such a difference for you in terms of refunds, but I'm still going to suggest that RSPs are a great way to save overall, is if you are a parent or an adult who is also working and studying, therefore you have a ton of deductions that you can apply to your tax return, you're likely already going to get a refund. And so if that's your main purpose, highly likely you're going to get a refund. Now the only thing you've got to figure out is how do I use this money smart, right? Now if you are in this situation and you have no leftover cash to save, then yes, this doesn't make any difference for you. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it until you're in that situation and it makes the most sense for you. Because here's the other thing that really bugs me about RRSP season is that a lot of people are bombarded with commercials and ads and emails and messaging and marketing about contribute to your RRSP, retirement savings, why it's important for you. And the thing is, if people can't, and if that's not their situation and their capability, then there's a lot of FOMO, fear of missing out, that happens, a lot of shame and a lot of guilt for whatever life choices and decisions they've made or financial choices and decisions they've made. There's no worse feeling than thinking, oh man, I know I should, but I can't. Look, as a financial planner and a human being, I'm here to tell you, please, if that's not your situation, don't worry about it. But get educated and get informed. There's nothing stopping you from learning how these different kinds of savings accounts work so that when you're ready, you're ready. When it applies to you, when it makes sense for your situation, you know exactly how it works. And make sure you get solid, experienced, qualified advice and have a money partner, a financial advisor, a planner work with you. If you have any questions or if there's a particular thing you want me to cover about retirement savings, please pop that in the comments and I'd be happy to do a video on that. Thanks and have a great day. See you in the next one.